Well, my background was in fashion, so I owned an agency, Ford Robert Black Agency, that I sold 15 years ago. And I always worked with designers and fashion designers. And I had a really good friend, Doreen Picerne, who was a fashionista, and we used to shop vintage all over the country. I had sold my company, and we said, let's do a retail store and let's do vintage, but let's do it the way we like to shop vintage. And what that means is we really respect the clothes, we really appreciate the clothes, so we wanted to make sure that when we presented them to our clients, they were ready to be worn and they were in tip-top shape. So we opened 9.5 years ago, and we didn't know if it would be successful. We did not know if the community would embrace what we saw and what our vision was, but apparently they did, because here we are. In my experience with vintage, I find that people have a real interest in nostalgia, number one, but they also have an interest in quality. And the thing that I find very interesting with these clothes is when we get a piece in, one of the very first things we do is we turn it inside out. We want to look at the construction and the quality of construction. And the reason we still have these items around is they were made so much better than the clothing is made today. We all hear about fast fashion, and that is actually a fact, it's a reality. But in the day, even a dress that your mom made at home, she was a great seamstress, and she sat at her machine, she did it by hand, she did it off of a pattern that could have been a Hollywood designer or a Vogue magazine pattern, and created a really beautiful piece. Fabrics were also stronger, they were pure. They weren't mixed, they weren't synthetic, we didn't have any stretch to them, you know, there was nothing like that. So everything is well preserved at this point, and just the quality is better, and I think that's what people really look at too. One of the things I really enjoy about this store are the people that come in with the clothing. And 90% of the merchandise that we acquire and we purchase it comes from the original owner. So I've had a 100-year-old little old gal come in with a few treasures and just a variety of people. But recently I had a gentleman come in that brought some of his wife's things in, and unfortunately she had passed. And as we started talking to him, he had some really interesting pieces, and they were much older, in their 40s and 50s. And as we talked to him, we discovered that his wife was an actress in Hollywood, and actually relatively prominent, and he was in the industry as well as a dancer. He pulled out his phone, and we started looking at the photographs of them and the stars that they were with of the day, and I was just blown away. And we sat and talked for probably 2 hours. And to us, that's the real treasure, is when we get somebody and they can tell us about what their lives were and what these clothes meant to them. And our job then, as the stewards of the clothes, is to give them a new life and find that new owner that then takes them to the next party, you know, and that's truly how we look at it. So it's not just a retail store for us. There's a lot more to it.
What's up, everybody? JR and Vanessa here. We're hanging out at Past, a really cool vintage shop, and we're taping a new Su Vida Especial.
Yes, just hit the YouTube subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. It's right here or right there.
Plus, with the YouTube time machine, you could see some of our vintage work. It's really cool. We've been doing this show for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I was 15 when I started.
I was 11. And if you believe that,
yes. We've got this really cool Picasso to sell you.
so hit that subscribe button, okay?